Okay, in this video, we're going to look at the learning target. I can convert standard form to intercept form. To go from standard to intercept form, what we're going to do is we're just going to factor the standard form. Okay, so the technique we use to switch form is factoring. And I like to use the guess and check method, which is I kind of think as reverse FOIL. Okay, so I'm kind of keeping FOIL in the back of my mind as I do it. So let's go ahead and look at two examples. Here I have y equals x squared minus 7x plus 12, and I'm just going to FOIL this side of the equation to get to intercept form. So to do this, I'm going to write y equals, I'm going to draw out my two parentheses, and I'm going to ask myself what times what gives me the x squared? Well, that's x times x, right? And then I'm going to ask myself what times what gives me the last term. Okay, so I did the f part of FOIL. Now I'm asking what times what gives me the last term. Well, to get a 12, I could have 1 times 12, I could have 2 times 6, I could have 3 times 4, right? But I need the pair that's going to give me a negative 7 in the middle, okay? I always have to check that the O plus the I will give me the middle. When I multiply the outside and the inside, they have to combine to this guy. So when I look at these numbers, I'm thinking, which pair is going to do that? And you'll notice the 3 and 4, if you were to add those, you would have 7, right? So that's the pair I would try first. So I'm going to write 4 times 3, right? Last times last should give me the last. And then if I want a negative 7 in the middle, but I want a positive 12, I'm just going to make them both negative, right? Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. And then if I check it, that's going to give me negative 4x. And then if I take the outside, that's going to give me negative 3x. So when I check the O plus the I, negative 3x plus negative 4x, that's negative 7x. So this is the factored form. Now you'll notice that if I take the factored form here, and we take a closer look at it, this is intercept form where the A value, which isn't written here, is really a 1, right? So if I look at this equation now, this is the intercept form. My A is 1, the P would be negative, or the P would be 4, and the Q would be 3, right? So my x-intercepts here, if I thought about the x-intercepts for a second, right? Intercept form gives me the x-intercepts. This guy would have an x-intercept at 4, 0, right? The opposite. And this one would have an x-intercept at 3, 0, okay? And the vertical stretch would be a 1. So we can just easily switch standard form to intercept form by factoring it. Let's go ahead and look at a second example here. So I have y equals x squared plus 4x minus 5. And once again, I'm just going to factor the right-hand side of the equation. So when I do this, I ask myself, what times what gives me the first term? Well, that's x times x. That's like the f part of FOIL. And then I do what times what gives me the last term, the L part of FOIL. Well, it's a 5, right? So 5 is going to be 1 times 5. And then I just have to check that the outside plus the inside part of FOIL will combine to give me the middle. So when I do this, I know 5 only breaks down to 5 and 1. And then I just got to decide where the negatives should go, right? To get a negative 5, one of these two numbers needs to be negative, but I want a positive 4 in the middle. So because I want a positive 4 in the middle, I want the 5, the bigger number, to be positive and the smaller number to be negative. Now when I check the O and the I, right, the outside gives me 5x and the inside gives me negative 1x. If I combine those, do I get 4x? Yeah. So this would be the correct factoring. And then I'm just going to rewrite it down here so it's a little cleaner. And then remember, if I take x minus 1, x plus 5, this number in front, once again, the a, it's not written here, but it's really a 1. Okay, so once again, this is the intercept form. And if we were to ask ourselves, what are the x-intercepts? Just remember the x-intercepts are the opposites of these values inside the parentheses. So we'd have an x-intercept at 1, 0, and we'd have an x-intercept at negative 5, 0. Okay, so just to recap, if you want to convert from standard form to intercept form, just go ahead and factor it, and then remember the opposites of these values are your x-intercepts.